So today we are going to see module number 8, this one about understanding humor and idioms in Spain. Remember, this is the 8th one. We have seen module 1, which was introduction to Spanish culture and daily etiquettes, where we have been on basic greetings and Spanish lifestyle. Then the next week, module 2 about workplace communication and professional etiquette. Module 3 about social interactions and small talk, discussing weather, hobbies, or general topics. Module 4 about dining etiquette and social gatherings, table manners, or inviting someone, or being invited. Then navigating daily life was module 5, public transport and shopping. Remember those conversations about buying tickets or shopping etiquette, returning goods, having payments. The one about healthcare and emergency situation, describing health issues and understanding prescriptions. And last week it was about cultural sensitivities and taboos, topics to avoid conversations, understanding body language and personal space norms. So today is time for module number 8, understanding humor and idioms. So we are going to see the popular idioms and slang used in casual conversations. And we are going to understand Spanish humor and when to use it. So understanding humor and idioms. Well, Spanish humor, because the culture is different from any other countries, it usually is sarcastic and playful. So we play a lot with the words which have two different meanings or which can be used in different contexts. Sometimes it's the same in English or any other languages. But apart from that, we are sarcastic. We usually say the opposite that we are thinking. So it's a strong use of wordplay and exaggeration, especially in everyday conversations or friendly teas. Here we see a picture of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. Those two characters belong to Don Quixote de la Mancha, which is the best book ever written in Spanish language by Miguel de Cervantes. And it's about a man who became crazy and has very strange adventures. So you see the windmills typical from the central part of Spain. And this is a very typical picture for Spanish people. So apart from Spanish humor, playful and sarcastic, we have some idioms we call modismos in Spanish. And we use those in informal speech, and understanding them is crucial for grasping the nuances of native conversation. For example, something which is really common is to say, estoy en las nubes. If you translate it literally, you are saying that I am on a cloud. Well, in English, we have I am on cloud number 9, similar to that. To be daydreaming, to be absent-minded. In English, it's more to be happy. When you are on cloud number 9, you are really happy. In Spain, when you are estar en las nubes, is to be absent-minded. And young people, especially, they have their own idioms, which are from the last generations, and they are quite interesting. So we have idioms, which are expressions whose meanings cannot be understood literally. You cannot translate it word by word because they have any other meaning. And slang refers to informal, often regional words or phrases used in casual speech. For example, we say tirar la toalla. If you translate it word by word, tirar la toalla, it means through the towel. But the meaning is to give up. When you cannot go on, you are really tired, you give up. So in Spanish we say, voy a tirar la toalla. This is the end. For example, there is another common one, estar entre la espada y la pared. Literally, you are between the sword and the wall. So the meaning is you are in a difficult situation. If you imagine when someone is between the sword and the wall, he or she is in a difficult situation. So that is the meaning of the idiom. That's what you like to say. And then slang language, especially for young people or teenagers, when you say que guay, it means how cool, very common in Spanish. Que guay. And then you say tío, tía, meaning dude or mate, usually refer to a friend or a person informally. So, tía, que cansada estoy. O tío, que mal día hace hoy. So we have two different things, idioms and slang. Let's see an example of a Spanish idiom. Tía, me dejas de piedra. So if you translate it literally, it seems you are feeling me feel like a stone. So I am like a stone. But it means that what you say has really shocked me or impressed me. Me dejas de piedra. When someone makes you feel like a stone, he or she has made a comment that shocks you. The second one, for example, it says, Luis me ha pedido matrimonio. This one. So it means that he asks you to marry him. No. Buf, que mala pata. When you have mala pata, it means bad luck. So, tía, me dejas de piedra. When someone impress you, shock you. Luis me ha pedido matrimonio. Luis asked me to marry him. And que mala pata. What a bad luck. So the top 10 everyday idioms in Spanish are estar en las nubes, to be in the clouds, to be distracted or daydreaming, to be absent-minded. Más vale tarde que nunca. Better late than never. It's better to do something late than not at all. When someone arrives late, usually we say más vale tarde que nunca. It's better late than never. It means that you are angry and the other person is being late. Tirar la toalla is to give up. It means to throw the towel. Estar como una cabra. This is very funny. To be like a goat when you are crazy or you are very eccentric. No tener pelos en la lengua. Literally, if you translate that, no tener pelos en la lengua means to not have hairs on the tongue. It means that you speak openly or bluntly. So there is no difficulty to speak. You speak openly, so you don't have hairs on the tongue. So estar en las nubes, más vale tarde que nunca. Tirar la toalla, estar como una cabra y no tener pelos en la lengua. We have a couple of them more. Se me hace agua la boca. So when something looks really tasteful or delicious, we say se me hace agua la boca, which means my mouth is watering. Se me hace la boca agua, se me hace agua la boca. We can change the order. Estar hasta las narices, to be up to the nose when you are really, really tired of something. Estoy hasta las narices. I am up to the nose. Costar un ojo de la cara, when something is really, really expensive, we say cuesta un ojo de la cara. It means to cost an eye from the face. It's so expensive. It is the same as to cost an eye from the face. Meter la pata, which is different from the previous one. Here we have mala pata. Mala pata is bad luck. But here we have meter la pata, to put the paw in, means to mess up or to make a mistake. So maybe we can say, Pepita ha metido la pata. Pepita has put the paw in when Pepita made a mistake. And then estar en la luna. Estar en la luna is to be on the moon. It's something similar to estar en las nubes. Estar en las nubes or estar en la luna, it means you are very far from here, so you are not paying attention. Your mind is very, very far from here. So sometimes if you translate it literally and you think about the situation, you can guess the meaning. For example, remember, to be between the sword and the spear. The sword and the word, where it was. I can't find it now, but there was some. To be between the sword and the word, if you translate it literally, and you think about the situation of someone being between the sword and the word, it means that you are in a difficult situation. If you think about being in the clouds, you mean you are very far from here, your mind is very far from here, and so you are distracted. Or some of them are not so easy. Estar como una cabra or tirar la toalla is not very easy to make the deduction. So we have some Spanish slang here. Usually young people say tío, tía. Oye, tío, ¿qué haces esta noche? Hey, dude, what are you doing tonight? So it's a way to address someone, a friend. Tío, tía. Maybe it's the same thing in English. Hey, guys, how are you? Then when something is cool, we say it's guay. El coche nuevo es muy guay. So when your car is really cool. ¿Qué coche más guay? So guay means cool. Vale is okay. Even though we have so many Anglicisms coming from films, Anglo-Saxon culture, that we use okay a lot. But in Spanish, the equivalent to okay is vale. Vale, nos vemos mañana. Okay, see you tomorrow. When you agree on something, we use vale. Chido. School is great. Esa película estuvo bien chida. That movie was really great. This is something very typical from South America. Mexico, Chile, those countries in the south part of the American continent who belong to the Spanish Empire. But in Spain, it's not very common to find chida. We understand that. To tell you the difference is the same as between English from United Kingdom or English from the United States. People can understand perfectly one to the other, but there are some differences in vocabulary, pronunciation, but those differences are really easy to understand. So for example, in the United States, they use the way movie. In United Kingdom, they say film, but they can understand one to the others perfectly. Or in United Kingdom, they say taxi. In the USA, they say cab, but it's the same. We say pasta, referring to money. No tengo pasta para salir hoy. It means that you don't have money. Pasta literally is an Italian food, but pasta in common slang words means money. Currar means to work. Tengo que currar este fin de semana. So, currar is a verb. We can also use the name curro. Mi curro es muy duro. But it's very slang among young people, teenagers. Majo and maja, it means nice and friendly. Tu hermana es muy maja. Your sister is really nice. It's something typical from the central part of Spain, Madrid and Castilla. But we can understand it. But when we hear someone using the word maja, we know he or she comes from the central part of Spain. No pasa nada, no worries. Llegas tarde, no pasa nada. Flipar is to freak out. Vas a flipar con esa noticia. It means you are going to freak out over this news. And qué fuerte means how incredible. Qué fuerte lo que pasó ayer. How incredible what happened yesterday. So Spanish slang is good to understand the new generations, to understand teenagers. I work in a high school with teenagers. I am used to this kind of Spanish slang, but I never use it. Even with the teenagers, I use any other language which is more appropriate for a teacher. But we need to understand that, and we are going to see this also in films and sometimes in everyday situations. So to sum up, what makes Spanish laugh? Satire, which is humor that criticizes politics or society. Sarcasm, which is saying the opposite of what you mean to be funny or ironic. To be ironic is something very, very common in Spanish culture. It means to say the opposite of what you mean in an exaggerated way. Mods is a pun or clever play on words where there is a word which can be used in different contexts or can mean different things. Humor noir is dark humor about serious or taboo topics. And irony is again the same as sarcasm, is saying something that means the opposite, often with a twist. Yeah, when you use irony, you use a twist. So these are the characteristics for the Spanish laugh. And humor is really important for us. We connect with people when we can laugh for the very same situations or the very same things. Let's see humor in context, when and where. So we use humor in casual chats with friends. It's part of bonding. So with friends, very informal situation. It's okay in relaxed settings like family meals or cafes. So again, informal situation. Family or friends. Jokes fit well in creative spaces like the theater or Spanish TV shows. Yeah, when you go to the cinema or the theater and you see a show, jokes are quite common. But in contrast, we avoid humor in job interviews. It can be seen as unprofessional. It's not the place. And we don't use jokes in formal emails or serious business talks. And be careful with humor in multicultural settings. It might not translate well. Remember, we saw a lesson weeks ago about body language. So, for example, gestures do not mean the same in different cultures. In some cultures, one gesture may be offensive, and in any other one is not. So multicultural settings are very difficult background to use humor because sometimes things can be offensive. So to sum up, we use humor in informal backgrounds and we never use it in formal backgrounds. Cultural tips. So, as I told you before, something which connects us with new friends, new people we meet, new colleagues, is to enjoy sarcasm, wordplay, and teasing among friends. So humor is often direct, but rarely meant self-deprecating jokes are well received, and avoid political or religious jokes. It's very important. We never joke with political situations, which can be offensive for anyone, or religious. As I told you in any other lesson, most population in Spain, we are Catholic. We go to Mass on Sunday morning. Every time new generations, they go less and less to the church. But as a cultural part of our daily lives, we have baptism, and we have any other events in the Catholic Church. Is something to present someone socially and to meet, to join your friends and family. But more and more times we find people around us which have any other religion. We try not to joke on that, especially if we don't know the meaning or the things while they use those rituals in those religions. So unless you know your audience well, very well, we try to avoid political and religious jokes. And the same about international situation. Opinions about the United States, Donald Trump, or wars in different parts of the world are considered rude. So regional humor exists. So we have some jokes about Catalonia, Andalusia. So treat carefully. There is a film which is very popular. Maybe you can find it in platforms. Los 9 apellidos vascos. I'm going to write it. So we use humor in casual chats with friends. It's okay to relax settings like family meals or cafes. Jokes fit well in creative spaces like theater or Spanish TV shows. We try to avoid humor in job interviews. It can be seen as unprofessional. Don't use jokes in formal emails or serious business talks. And finally, be careful with humor in multicultural settings. It might not be translatable. And remember, we have regional humor about Catalonia or Andalusia or any other parts. It's the same as in English. There are some stereotypes. So in United Kingdom, Scottish are considered mean, or and there are some jokes about that, or Irish people sometimes are considered a little bit simple. So it's the same in Spanish. We have jokes about different regions. So that's all for today. Remember, we have been talking about understanding humor and idioms. Some facts about humor and idioms. The idioms which are different from slangs. We have some examples of Spanish idioms. We have seen the top 10 everyday idioms, like to be like a goat, estar como una cabra, or más vale tarde que nunca. We have seen some common slang words and the things that make Spanish people laugh, like satire, sarcasm, humor, dark humor. Also, we have seen when and where we can find this sense of humor, which is in casual and informal situations, but never in job interviews or in serious business talks. We have some cultural tips, and that's all for today. See you next week, where we are going to go on Module 9, Appointments and Scheduling. So thank you very much, and see you next week.